Welcome back to Stardew Valley, What the Valley Has to Offer, where I go through and play Stardew Valley on different farms and marry different spouses while focusing on a specific profession. Welcome to episode 1.2, and here we are on summer 1 of my fishing playthrough. The first thing I wanted to do today was check what summer crops we would need for the community center so I could make sure and get those planted. Of course, the first thing I had to do was go ahead and clean up my little crop area, till the ground, and just get it looking all nice for the new season. Then I went ahead and grabbed some mixed seeds, hoping that I could get what I needed from mixed seeds. But as I was putting the mixed seeds down, I realized I had absolutely zero idea of what any of them were. So my genius plan with good intentions was ultimately foiled, and I had to head off down to Pierre's. On the way, I stopped to accept this quest for Leah, who wanted a pike, and then I headed inside to grab the crops I needed. Of course, I couldn't get the summer squash here, but I wasn't too worried as we'd have plenty of time to dig some up from worm spots. Back on the farm, I went ahead and planted those seeds right away, and promptly forgot I needed to leave room for summer squash, and ended up planting some mixed seeds there instead, as I needed to get my farming level up. There was a lot to do this season, and I knew I was going to need a lot of money. So I headed down to fish up some fish and hopefully get a pike for Leah, which I did. And after I felt a little bored, I decided to get some new scenery and continue fishing. Along the way, I ran into Elliot and was absolutely smitten and was dying to hear what he had to say to me. He told me how he woke up this morning and apologized if it was boring, but of course, I hung on every word. Wanting to stay close to him for a little longer, I went ahead and fished in the river next to him, but very quickly changed scenes again down to the ocean, hoping to catch some of the new summer ocean fish because I needed to catch every single fish for this playthrough. Around 5 p.m., I took off looking for Leah because I had a very important pike to deliver her. I knew she would be walking home at this point, so after a quick trip around town, I finally found her a little closer to Pierre's than I expected, and turned in that pike, which she was very happy for, and I was very happy to collect my prize money. It had been a long day, so I went ahead and tucked into bed, ready for tomorrow. The first thing I did was accept a quest for Harvey. He wanted a bream, and I wanted a prize ticket. I couldn't get the bream till later in the night, but I was still hoping to turn a good profit, and spent a lot of the day fishing. I stopped by Pierre's because I realized I had to pick up some hop starters so I could get hops for the medicine bundle. The day really started to pick up after that. I swung by Clint's to upgrade my axe so I could get into the secret woods, and went ahead and gifted Marnie a quartz and Elliot a rainbow shell. We stopped to have a short conversation about beachcombing, and then I went back to fishing, hoping to finally catch a red mullet and a tuna. I was in luck and caught a red mullet, and then I had a crazy surprise. I hooked a legendary fish. I didn't even think I was high enough fishing level for that, but it made me really excited. I wanted to go upgrade my rod to better catch the fish, but I got a cutscene from Willie. He asked me if I'd been fishing a lot, and of course, I said yes. He was very happy. I didn't have enough money to upgrade my fishing rod, so I changed scenery to catch Harvey's bream, and headed home to sell all of my fish. Then I tucked into bed, ready for the next day. That night, something exciting happened. We had the earthquake event, which unlocks the hot tub. Of course, I never went to visit it at all. The next day, we got the dreaded letter from Mayor Lewis about his purple shorts, and I was stressing. I needed to get these purple shorts before the luau so I could know if I was putting them in the soup or not. And we only had one heart with Marnie. I really needed to work on that. So I went ahead and decided to gift her a beautiful aquamarine in hopes that would bump me up to 2 hearts. But I was a little disappointed. I wasn't quite there yet. So I hurried over to Harvey's to give him his bream because I would get a prize ticket And the prize ticket would get me a little bit closer to the Star Drop tea. If I could give that to Marnie, I definitely have enough friendship points to get in her room. I was also very excited to see some preserves jars on the way, as I would need those for fish roe. I went back to the beach and continued to fish, hoping for a tuna. I got a puffer fish, which I also needed, and eventually I did get my tuna. After a long day of fishing, I tucked into bed, excited to see what tomorrow held. And tomorrow was quite the exciting day. I got a visit from Demetrius, and he offered to set up either a fruit bat cave or a mushroom cave for me. I usually go with the mushroom cave, but we're here to see what the valley has to offer, which means we get to spin. Super excited! Yes, okay, with fruit bats, we can get pomegranates and finally start gifting Elliot loved gifts. So I am actually so happy this is what we got. Oh, I can't wait. With that settled, I told Demetrius I wanted the fruit bats, and he said it would take no time at all to set up. Then I decided it was a good day to head into the mines. I had high hopes of reaching level 100 this season. We started off strong with collecting our crystal dagger at level 60, and then I headed straight in the mines to see how far I could get. I didn't have too much trouble finding ladders down, and things were going very well. I ended up making it all the way down to level 70. I was super excited, and I did my celebratory dance around the chest. I then opened it to get the Master Slingshot. I decided it was a good time to call it quits and went ahead and headed home. On the way home, I got this cutscene from Linus. He was happy to see me, and I was happy to see him. And he had something he wanted to tell me. Hey, I want to show you something. Come inside. And this is where everything gets weird. If you know, you know. I exited Linus's tent having learned how to craft wild bait, which I was so excited for because I had been befriending him all along just for the bait. I went to sleep that night and I got to level 4 mining. The next day, I decided it would be a good day to go ahead and drop some things off at the community center and donate some things to the museum. So I went ahead and loaded up my inventory, ready for another great day. The first order of business in the community center was obviously the summer foraging bundle. It was something that was really easy to complete really early on in summer. The completion of this bundle opened up something new. I was so excited because we finally got the bulletin board. Unfortunately, I forgot to check it as I was so excited to donate my other things to the community center. We put a duck egg in the animal bundle, a tuna in the ocean fish bundle, and a puffer fish in the specialty fish bundle. Then we completed the blacksmith's bundle, which was awesome, and the geologist's bundle had a quartz added to it. This all resulted in the opening up of the vault, and the whole of the community center was finally unlocked. I stopped by Clint's to pick up my steel axe so I could finally get into the secret woods before heading to Gunther's to drop off all of my artifacts. I really needed that sewer key so I could get into the sewers to start fishing. Since it was Friday, I also went to check the traveling cart, hoping for some more animal products. But there was absolutely nothing good. I did, however, see a rabbit's foot and realized I had no idea what was on the bulletin board. So I quickly made sure to check. On the bulletin board, we had the field research bundle, the children's bundle, which I was super excited for, the winter star bundle, the fodder bundle, and the Spirit's Eve bundle. So I had my work cut out for me. Unfortunately, none of those needed a rabbit's foot, and I was out of luck. Since I was in the area, I went ahead and gifted to the wizard because I would need to unlock his talisman quest in order to get the slime jack. Then, back on the farm, it was time to set up my tree farm. The green rain event was coming, and I was hoping it would help grow my trees to the full size so they'd be ready to be tapped. There was still so much to do this season that I went straight back to the mines, hoping to push to level 80 today. It was pretty easy to find ladders again, and I was making good time. I did indeed make it to level 80. I did my celebratory dance around the chest and got the very nice fire boots. Calling it a day, I went home and tucked into bed. I was surprised to wake up to green rain. I knew it was coming, but I didn't expect it to be so soon in the season. A few of my trees had grown, but ultimately I was disappointed that not many of my tree farm trees were at their full size. I did spend a good part of the day collecting moss and fiber, and then saw that Alex wanted a refined quartz. So I quickly completed that quest and headed down to the beach to fish because I needed a red snapper. Finally, I made my way into the secret woods, opening it up with my brand new axe. Originally, I wanted to get into the secret woods for the fiddlehead ferns, but the green rain meant I had plenty. But I still needed to fish up a wood skip, so I tried my best to do that. I didn't get a wood skip, but I did get the Jewels of the Sea book, which I was excited to read. I decided to head home and make the most of the day, clearing out this farming area, as I hoped to be able to set up quite a good area for farming so I could level up and get plenty of XP. And before I knew it, the last log had been chopped down and I had a brand new farming area. I decided to call it a day and go ahead and tuck into bed after that. I got level 8 fishing that night and could finally make a deluxe worm bin. After chopping so many trees, I also leveled up in foraging and was super excited about this beach warp totem. The next day, I went ahead and set up this little farming area and planted some melons. I had set this place up to help me get more farming XP, as I would need to be able to make some preserve jars and later on kegs. Then I headed down to the beach in hopes to catch the crimson fish. I did hook it several times, but ultimately I was just disappointed and frustrated. I had failed to catch the crimson fish 6 times, and it just became really clear that I wasn't going to be able to catch him without upgrading my fishing rod and getting more bobbers. That was really frustrating because the fishing rod was 7,500 gold, and I had lofty dreams of buying many more fish ponds. But ultimately, I realized I needed to buy a better rod to catch the crimson fish. But I didn't have enough money to do that, so after talking with Elliot and gifting him some coral, it was back to fishing so I could get all the money I needed. I spent so long fishing that night and pulled up way too much seaweed. So I decided I better tuck in and call it a day. After a good night's sleep, I had a bit of a change of heart and decided to try to catch the crimson fish one last time with my fiberglass rod. Because if I bought the iridium rod, it would mean I admitted defeat and had just wasted money upgrading to a fiberglass rod last season. But it became very apparent that I was not catching this crimson fish with the fiberglass rod. So, after 2 failed attempts, I sucked up my pride and went ahead to Willie's shop, where I bought the iridium rod. Feeling upset and defeated, I needed a change of pace, so we're gonna check the fruit cave for the very first time. Oh, there's a bit. Let's see if he hates peaches. I have high hopes, because it's a nice fruit, so maybe it's a liked gift. Yay! Oh, I'm so happy. A gentle little sunbeam woke me up this morning. I've never felt so refreshed. I'm sorry if that isn't very interesting to you.
Of course, that's interesting to me. That is so cute. I wake up with the sun too.
I really wanted to share that reaction with you. It was my initial reaction to when Elliot first told me about that, but unfortunately, I didn't have the audio that day, so there was a little reenactment. I went ahead and gave gifts to the wizard and Marnie, hoping to get their hearts up, and my good work finally paid off.
Yes! Yes! Okay, we've got 2 hearts with Elliot. Well, that is great, but we also have 2 hearts with Marnie. That means it's purple short time.
Well, it was a little too late that day to grab the purple shorts, so it would have to wait till tomorrow. But I had bigger fish to catch, the crimson fish. With my new rod, I set out to catch him.
Here we go.
The very first time I hooked him, I was not quite sure I'd get him because I wasn't warmed up at all. But surprisingly, I got him.
All I needed was a better rod. All I needed was a better rod. Hey guys, it is time for the purple shorts. I found the lucky purple shorts. Better return them to Mayor Lewis. But there's so many things we could do with them.
Normally, I return the shorts to Mayor Lewis, but we're here to see what the valley has to offer. So, it was time to see where these shorts were ending up.
Okay, the wheel has spoken. We are putting them in the Fair Grange display.
Now, there were a couple other things I wanted to do with the shorts, but I knew where to get some more, so I spent my time fishing instead.
First try, caught the wood skip. I'm a pro.
Just remember that sometime when I'm bored, I will be finding more of Mayor Lewis's shorts. But today, I'm gonna tuck into bed and get ready for the rest of summer. And just like that, I had completed everything I wanted to complete in one day that I hadn't managed to complete in the first week. So I went ahead and took this day very slow, getting a prize ticket and the Star Drop tea, which I wasn't sure what to do with since we had 2 hearts with Marnie. I decided to call it a day and just relax. The next day would be the luau, and I knew if I put something good in the soup, I'd get hearts with everyone, so I really wanted to make sure I did that.
Well, Governor, would you do us the honor of tasting the soup? Ah, that's a very pleasant soup. The produce from this valley never disappoints.
Well, it wasn't a perfect soup, but it was good enough to get plenty of hearts with plenty of people. So I went ahead and called it a day, and even leveled up in farming.
Ooh, bee house.
The next day, I started by checking my luck and was happy to see that it was a good luck day. That means I would spend it in the mines. I still had to make it to level 100 to unlock the last fishing space in the mines. However, today I was just aiming to get down to level 90. And it wasn't too hard. Eventually, I made it. Of course, I made sure to do my celebratory dance around the chest before receiving my very own obsidian edge. Being in the mines was going to be a lot easier from here on out. I went ahead and tucked myself into bed after that, and we finally made it.
Level 5 mining, time to spin.
Were we going to end up with miner or geologist? I was excited to find out, but kind of realized geologist wasn't very good.
This is literally useless. I mean, the point of this game is to play in ways I don't normally do, but for this playthrough, this is kind of useless. The geologist. I can't sell my minerals, so I might have to get creative with decorating the farm.
While I was musing how to incorporate geologist into this playthrough, something amazing happened.
Finally caught my octopus.
I was so worried I wouldn't catch one at all this summer, but I made it. After a good day of fishing, I tucked into bed. It felt like the days were moving so fast in the second half of summer, and there was so much to get done. So I rushed over to Robin's to construct my second fish pond. I was really needing that passive income from the fish ponds because I had so much to buy. In order to complete one of my main goals, which was decorating and having a cute farm, I was definitely going to need some pathing. So I went ahead and bought a couple paths from Robin that I was pretty confident I was going to use on my farm. Of course, as soon as I got home, I put those new recipes to work and started making this cute little stepping stone path, and I am so happy with how it turned out. Since it was Sunday, I made sure to check the traveling cart, and I didn't think there was anything good. But I might regret not buying that plum pudding as it is needed for the Winter Star bundle. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Back home on the farm, I finally started putting together some cute pathways. I have always wanted to use this crystal path, but just felt like it never really fit well anywhere. But I think the sand on the beach gives the absolute perfect backdrop for these crystals to just pop and look fantastic. So, after spending a lot of time mapping things out and setting down this pathing, it was time to tuck into bed and get ready for tomorrow. I started the next day by petting my cat, very important, and checking my luck for the day.
An iridium luck day. We gotta spend it in the mines.
Of course, the goal was to get down those last 10 levels and make it to level 100, and I was very confident that I would make it. I had a great time gathering resources and just pushing my way down in the mine. But the most exciting part came when I hit a monster level and killed this guy.
Yes!
We finally had the last guy we needed for the crab pot bundle. On level 100, I did my celebratory dance and ate my very first star drop. It was quite an experience. Of course, the star drop filled me with thoughts of fishing, as I am just absolutely crazy about fishing. I called it a day and headed home to tuck into bed. The next day, I finally addressed the needs of my stonefish. They needed 5 earth crystals. I didn't quite have 5 earth crystals, but I had lots of geodes and a plan.
Hoping I can get some earth crystals from these geodes so I can finish my stonefish pond. And maybe some artifacts to donate to the museum because I still need to donate 60 artifacts to the museum.
With that being my plan, I went ahead and first stopped by the museum to donate the artifacts that I already had. Of course, I needed to donate 60 artifacts to get the key to the sewer, but more importantly, I needed to make room in my inventory for all of the geodes that I was about to open. So, after this stop at the museum, I quickly headed over to Clint's to break open some geodes, and this is how it went.
Yes! First one, earth crystal. Let's go. No way! Okay, that is both of the earth crystals that I need. That is awesome.
I went ahead and kept opening geodes until my inventory was full, and I got some pretty cool artifacts that I then went to donate to Gunther. But overall, there wasn't anything too crazy after getting the earth crystals I needed right away. After that, I went to go say hi to Elliot, and it was the first time I was ever able to go inside his house, so it was super exciting. Of course, I had to poke my nose around everywhere and learn everything I could about him. Unfortunately, he wasn't in his house, and I wanted to give him a gift. So after poking around, I went to look for him. But I got distracted and ended up fishing instead. I caught some good fish from the lake, including a pike, which I definitely needed to tick off my list of catching all the fish. After that, I called it a day and went to sleep. I went to level 9 fishing and could finally make seafoam pudding, which might come in handy later. The next day, I spent it all just making my farm look cute. I started out with this brick path, getting my tree farm set up, but ultimately went for a more rustic wood style. After that, I did end up taking up all of the crystal paths I had set down the other day, and using the crystal to frame the fish pond. I decided I liked the stone pathways better for my official walkways, and I think the crystal looks really nice around the fish pond. It sure feels aquatic. I spent all day decorating my farm, and after that I tucked into bed, ready for whatever came next. The next day, I decided it would be a good day to go ahead and give the community center a visit. I had been doing a lot of fishing and a lot of farming, and I was ready to complete a lot of bundles. We started by completing the crab pot bundle with the crab that we got from the mines, followed by the ocean fish bundle as I had finally caught a red snapper during the rain. After that, we finished our summer crops bundle. Somewhere on the beach I had found some summer squash, so I could fill it out nicely. Then I was able to complete the wild medicine bundle from the hops I got on my farm and the fiddlehead ferns from the green rain day. After that, I donated some moss to the forest bundle and a fire quartz to the geologist's bundle. I was feeling super happy getting all of these bundles completed. But I still had more to donate, like the wood skip, the winter root, a frozen geode, and the salmon berries, and I was feeling so ready for fall. After that, I remembered I needed to grab some ice cream for the children's bundle, and decided to wrap the day up with some fishing in the lake. I was able to get some good fish that I could sell, and was pretty tired after that, so I headed home to tuck into bed. The next day was Friday, so I started my day by visiting the traveling cart, and we had a duck egg at the top, but I was pretty sure I already had donated a duck egg, so I left feeling pretty unsatisfied with the options there. But life goes on. I decided to upgrade my pickaxe so I could remove some of the big boulders on my farm and continue decorating. With some big goals in mind to decorate the farm, I spent a lot of time placing paths and just getting everything set up so eventually I could add in some new fish ponds. I was feeling super confident with the way things were coming together and ultimately had to go to bed. I woke up tomorrow realizing it was the trout derby, in which I would fish for trout and hope for some golden tags. My heart really wasn't in it though, as I really wanted to get back to decorating my farm. But I did get one golden tag and lots of fish to sell, which I couldn't really complain about as I had big plans. Eventually, I did go back to continue decorating the farm. I found a good use for all of those clay pathways I had made before, and eventually went to sleep. The next day was Sunday, so I checked the traveling cart and was again disappointed that there wasn't anything useful. But I continued on. I went to Clint's to pick up my new pickaxe and immediately ran home to the farm to remove this boulder that had been in the way. With my new pickaxe, I was also able to clean up the farm a bit so that I could fill in all of these holes and place down some paths. After I was able to place down all of my paths, I went to the trout derby to try to catch more fish. I decided that I wanted a fish smoker and a couple more fish ponds by the end of the season. I tucked into bed that night, ready for the next day. I started that day with fishing at the lake until I ran out of bait. I realized I was going to need some more bug meat for bait and headed into the mines. Bug meat wasn't the only thing I needed, as I needed a lot more stone, not only for fish ponds, but to be able to complete my stone walkways on the farm. So I spent time killing bugs and mining stone. And then something amazing happened. I didn't even realize it at first, but killing those bugs had actually dropped an ancient seed. Ancient seed! I ended the day off with some fishing. I was really hoping to get to 10,000 gold and be able to buy the fish smoker, so I fished till very late in the night before heading to bed. I achieved the cowpoke achievement and was ready to start my new day. The first thing I did was head over to the fruit cave and check it out, and there wasn't one, but there was 2 pomegranates, a loved gift of Elliot's, so I did a little dance before heading off to give some gifts to the villagers. I started with the wizard and then rushed over to Elliot's, and we got a cutscene. Ooh, a cutscene! Marin, come in!
Welcome to my humble, well, shack. This is my writing desk. It's where I spend most of my time. For as long as I can remember, I have wanted to be a writer. Have I told you that? That's why I live out here by myself. I figured a lonely life by the sea would help me focus on my literary aspirations. Everyone back home said I was nuts, that I could never make it as a writer. Can you believe it? They said, for every successful author there is 1,000 who fail miserably. Such pessimism. It's sickening. I can see it in your eyes. You believe in me, Marin. You've got that spark. Now that's inspiring. That's what I'm looking for. A question. What kind of books do you like, Marin? Ooh, mystery, romance, or sci-fi? I don't feel like Marin's much of a romance kind of girl. She fishes all day. We're gonna go mystery. Mystery, huh? It's definitely an exciting genre. I'll remember that. Well, enough talk about me. You probably know a lot about plants, don't you? No, not really. I spend all my time fishing. Would you mind taking a look at this rose here? I'm afraid it's not doing so well. Okay, guys. We finally get to give Elliot a loved gift. I am excited! Marin, this is a beautiful gift. Thank you. Yay! Look at us. We're so cute together. After that fun encounter, I went all around the valley fishing. I hadn't quite hit my 10,000 gold goal, and I couldn't yet afford the fish smoker. So, I tried to fish in every spot I could think of, just to break up the monotony of fishing. And I pulled in some good fish. I even made sure to stop by Clint's and turn in a wanted quest. A prize ticket popped out, but unfortunately there wasn't quite enough room in my inventory. But that was okay, because I could make space. I ended up deciding that I didn't need these Joja-Colas, and picked up my prize ticket, which I immediately turned in to get a reward. I was super excited for this reward because it was a fishing bed, which I think matches the theme of this playthrough so well. I went home and tucked into bed, ready for tomorrow. That night, I leveled up in farming. Preserves jars. I was really excited for the preserves jars. I also leveled up in mining, and it was a good day. The next day, I made sure to change my bed out into something more appropriate and craft up all the preserves jars I could, which was unfortunately only one. But I knew exactly where to put it and was excited to go ahead and get some roe aging. I rushed down to Willie's farm to pick up the fish smoker recipe, and since I was on the beach, I made sure to gift Elliot a loved gift. He's so cute. I went home and crafted up a fish smoker, but unfortunately could only make one because I only had one cave jelly. I didn't know where to put it yet, so I stuck it up here because that way I could do some fishing while I smoked my fish. Eventually, I made my way back into the caves because I needed more fish smokers, which meant I needed more cave jellies. I didn't have any luck, but I did get some stone, so when I came home, I was able to craft up a couple more preserves jars and age a little bit more roe. I called it a day and tried out my brand new bed. I ended up leveling up in foraging and getting the mountain warp totem. I spent the next day clearing up a bit of my farm. Not only did these boulders give me more space, but they gave me more stone so I could craft more pathways. I was super excited getting everything put together, and I thought it was coming along very nicely. I couldn't wait to see the finished product. After that, it was back to fishing for cave jellies. Unfortunately, I wasn't finding any cave jellies, and I was getting pretty frustrated at this point. I am only getting trash, and I don't know why. I know there's more in this cave than trash. There should be cave jellies and lava eels, and they don't exist.
I realized I needed a break from fishing, so I headed back to the farm to continue setting things up and just making everything look beautiful. Of course, I made sure to continue smoking my fish so I could bring in all of the money. I wanted to get a couple more fish ponds before the season ended. At the end of the day, I realized I hadn't set things up correctly, and I went through and had to tear out all of my hard work so I could go back and put the pathways in the way that they were supposed to be. The next day, I continued putting the pathways in correctly, making sure it was large enough so the fish ponds could fit, and also adding a little extra walking room between my preserves jars and my future fish ponds. Then, since it was Friday, I headed down to the traveling cart to see what it had, and it had nothing. Defeated and frustrated, I headed to Robin's to finally put in another fish pond. I was so excited to see all of my hard work paying off and my farm coming together. I really had a hard time picking where I wanted my fish pond to go. There were so many options. Ultimately, though, I just decided to fill in this empty spot right here and make everything nice and uniform. With that under my belt, I decided to tuck into bed, and that night we leveled up to level 5 combat, which meant we got to pick a new professions. Our options were fighter or scout to either increase our health or attack, so I spun the wheel and to see what we got, and we ended up getting the fighter. Hey, we got the fighter! The next day, I went searching for a cave jelly. I really needed one before the season ended, and finally, I got it.
Cave jelly! Woo!
I headed right home to make up another fish smoker and then tucked into bed for the last day of summer. In order to catch all of the fish, I also needed to get everything from the crab pots, so I moved them from saltwater to freshwater, hoping to get something cool. Then I gave my octopuses some coral, and they were very happy. Then we had a nice surprise at the traveling cart today.
Yes! An egg!
With the egg in my pocket, I decided to make one last trip to the community center to finish up some bundles. The first bundle we were able to finish up was a lake bundle by donating the sturgeon. After that, we finished up the children's bundle by donating ice cream and an ancient doll. Then I made some progress on the field research bundle, and I was super happy to see it come together. And we ended with our large egg in the animal bundle. After that was all wrapped up, I went to Gunther's to go ahead and drop off all of the rest of the artifacts that I had. It wasn't a lot, but it did include the ancient seed, which means that I finally got my very own ancient seed to plant. And with that, summer had come to a close, and it was time to say goodbye. We ended the season with 3 hearts with Elliot and 3 hearts with the wizard, which wasn't too shabby, but we were going to need a lot more. I ended in level 4 farming, level 6 mining, level 7 foraging, level 9 fishing, and level 5 combat. Overall, it was a great season. Thank you all so much for watching Stardew Valley What the Valley Has to Offer, Episode 1.2. If you liked what you saw, consider liking and subscribing. That way, you won't miss Episode 1.3, where we tackle the fall season of this playthrough. I look forward to seeing you all again. Thank you so much for watching.